There is a mystery that spans the ages, one that many have reported but few have been able to fully comprehend. Before great spiritual transformations, a specific sign seems to manifest for those who are open to perceiving it. Perhaps you have experienced it without even realizing it, or maybe you felt something different but didn't know what to call it. Throughout millennia, great spiritual masters, sages, and even ordinary individuals who have undergone profound inner changes have described something similar. A sensation, a subtle warning from the universe that appears to prepare the soul for what is to come. This phenomenon can manifest in various ways and is most frequent in moments of deep personal and spiritual growth. What many do not understand is that these experiences are not random events or coincidences. They are, in fact, omens that the individual is on the brink of a transcendental change. What is this mysterious sign? It is not visible to the eyes, nor can it be measured by scientific instruments. For some, it may seem like a recurring dream, a pattern of events that repeats in their lives, or even a persistent feeling of discomfort, as if something is lurking on the horizon. It can emerge as a sense of restlessness, a feeling that the reality around you is not as solid as it once seemed, as if the veil that separates the physical and spiritual worlds is thinning. It is common for this sign to be accompanied by a sudden desire to seek answers, to dive into the unknown, or to explore the mysteries of life and the universe. Those who are about to undergo a great spiritual change often begin to feel disconnected from material life. The things that once brought them satisfaction, work, possessions, even superficial relationships, lose their luster. Instead, a hunger for something deeper and more meaningful arises, as if they are being called by something beyond immediate comprehension. However, this sign should not be confused with fear or anxiety. Although change is uncomfortable for many, what is happening is a deep, energetic realignment. The discomfort stems from the mind's natural resistance to the idea of change, especially changes that challenge the structures we have built throughout our lives. But the sign itself is not a warning or danger. It is an invitation, a call to look inward, to open oneself to new possibilities, and to prepare the soul for a journey that will take it beyond the known boundaries of existence. One of the most challenging aspects of this process is the deconstruction of what we believe to be our self. When the sign appears, it often triggers a series of internal and external events that lead us to question our identity. Who are we really? What defines us? This is often accompanied by a sense of loss, as we realize that much of what we thought was true about ourselves was, in reality, a construction based on social, familial, or cultural expectations. However, this loss is essential. By letting go of these layers of false identity, we make room for our emerging true self to flourish. This is the essence of any significant spiritual transformation, the destruction of illusions so that the truth can manifest. During this phase, it is common for many to experience existential crises or moments of deep introspection. What used to make sense no longer does. The answers that were once sufficient start to feel hollow. This is the moment when the individual is being prepared for a new way of seeing the world, one that transcends the limitations of the ego and linear thinking. Another interesting characteristic of this phenomenon is how it manifests in nature and synchronicities. Many people report seeing repeated patterns in their lives, such as specific numbers that frequently appear, or events that seem mysteriously interconnected. These small signs, trivial as they may seem, are actually messages from the universe, indicating that the process of transformation is already underway. Nature also plays a crucial role in this process. Those in the midst of a spiritual change often feel inexplicably drawn to nature. Simply walking in a park or spending time outdoors can trigger deep feelings of connection to something greater. The wind, the sound of the trees, the movement of the clouds, everything seems charged with meaning. This occurs because, during a spiritual transformation, our perception expands, allowing us to pick up on the subtle energies that are always present but usually go unnoticed. Many accounts of people who have experienced great spiritual changes mention seeing specific animals or symbols at critical moments in their lives. These encounters are not mere coincidences but reflections of an ongoing dialogue between the individual and the universe. Every detail, every fortuitous encounter, carries within it a message, a reminder that we are not alone on this path and that transformation is part of a greater plan. Dreams, in turn, are another way in which the sign manifests. When we are on the verge of a significant spiritual change, our dreams often become more vivid and symbolic. These dreams frequently bring unresolved issues to the surface or offer insights about the future. They can be disorienting but also incredibly revealing. A recurring dream may hold the key to understanding what is to come. Often, the subconscious uses archetypal images, such as water, fire, or mysterious figures, to prepare us for the journey of transformation. Water, for example, can symbolize purification and renewal, while fire may represent the destruction of old forms to make way for the new. By paying attention to dreams and their messages, we can gain clarity on what the universe is trying to tell us. The question then is, what to do when we recognize this sign? The answer is not necessarily simple, as each individual will have their own unique journey to follow. However, there are some directions that may be helpful in navigating this phase of transition. First and foremost, it is crucial not to resist the process. Resistance only prolongs the discomfort and delays the transformation. Allow yourself to feel, process, and accept what is happening. Understand that any discomfort you may be feeling is temporary and part of the growth. Secondly, seek moments of stillness and reflection. Meditation, journaling, or simply spending time alone can help you reconnect with your essence and better understand the signs that are emerging. These practices open a clearer channel of communication with the universe, allowing answers to come more easily. Finally, be patient. Spiritual changes do not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, and each stage must be fully experienced. Trust in divine timing and remember that, no matter how uncomfortable or confusing the process may seem, you are exactly where you need to be. The mysterious sign that precedes great spiritual transformations is ultimately a reminder that life is a continuous process of growth and evolution. When we learn to recognize and honor these signs, we open the door to a deeper, more meaningful experience of reality. When the sign manifests, what truly begins is an inner journey. This process is often quiet, personal, and at the same time, deeply transformative. It leads us down a path of self-discovery, where we are forced to confront our shadows, fears, and the parts of ourselves we've neglected over time. And it is in this confrontation that true internal alchemy occurs, where the lead of our unresolved emotions and limiting behavior patterns is transformed into the gold of wisdom and spiritual freedom. It's important to understand that spiritual transformation doesn't mean escaping life's challenges. On the contrary, often, as we walk this path, we face even greater difficulties because we are called to deal with aspects of ourselves we've avoided for years. These challenges, however, are catalysts for growth. They help us develop resilience, compassion, and a deeper connection with our true selves. Each human being embarks on this journey in a unique way, but there are patterns that can be observed. The first is the sense of disconnection we mentioned earlier, but this disconnection is followed by a deep reconfiguration of beliefs, values, and perceptions. What once seemed essential in our lives, status, material goods, or even social recognition, loses its importance in the face of the grandeur of what we're beginning to understand. People who experience this shift often report a sense of relief when they realize their true essence is not tied to external demands, but rather to a greater inner purpose. Over time, as the process progresses, there is a notable expansion of consciousness. The individual begins to perceive that their life and experiences are just a fragment of a vast cosmic tapestry. This broadening of perception leads to a greater understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. The person begins to notice that their actions, thoughts, and intentions have repercussions not only in their own life but also in the lives of others and the world around them. This awakening brings with it responsibility. When someone becomes aware of their influence on the universe, there is a call to live more authentically and with greater integrity. It's no longer about acting in accordance with society's standards, but about living according to the soul's dictates. This authenticity is the true result of a successful spiritual transformation. This new perception also leads to an expanded view of one's own existence. The boundaries that once limited perception, such as time and space, become more flexible. Those who undergo these changes begin to perceive the concept of synchronicity not as random coincidences but as a manifestation of a deeply organized universe, where everything is interconnected and where seemingly unrelated events are part of a greater whole. With the expansion of consciousness comes a natural desire to share what has been learned. Many who experience great spiritual transformations feel compelled to help others on their own journeys. This doesn't mean that everyone must become a teacher or spiritual guide, but, in some way, the person feels called to be a light in the world. This call to service can manifest in many different ways. For some, it is through art, where their creations become an expression of the divine and a way to inspire others. For others, it is in the field of healing, helping those who are suffering physically, emotionally, or spiritually. And for still others, service manifests in small things, in acts of kindness, in words of support, or simply in living a life that serves as an example to others. Regardless of the form this service takes, it is always a manifestation of the understanding that we are all interconnected and that by helping others, we are, in a way, helping ourselves. This is one of the greatest gifts of spiritual transformation. The realization that the well-being of others is inseparable from our own well-being. Another fundamental aspect of this journey is the acceptance of impermanence. When we are deeply rooted in the material experience of life, we tend to cling to things, people, possessions, ideas, circumstances. Spiritual transformation teaches us that everything is transient and that the true challenge is learning to flow with changes rather than resist them. This acceptance of impermanence brings an inner peace that cannot be attained in any other way. When we realize that nothing in this life is permanent, we are freed from the burden of attachment. This doesn't mean we stop caring about people or what happens around us, but rather that we learn to experience each moment in its fullness, knowing that it is fleeting and that its beauty lies precisely in its transience. Moreover, this acceptance allows us to better cope with pain and loss. Instead of fighting against suffering, we learn to accept it as an integral part of the human experience. This acceptance is not resignation, but a higher form of wisdom that recognizes that, just like joy, pain also has its purpose and time. At the peak of a spiritual transformation, there is a sense of returning to unity. This unity is often described as a feeling of being connected to everything and everyone. The division between self and other dissolves, and the individual experiences a deep sense of belonging to the universe. This state of consciousness is described in many spiritual traditions as enlightenment, self-realization, or simply awakening. This experience of unity is not something that can be forced or obtained through effort. It arises naturally when the individual lets go of ego identifications and allows themselves to flow with the current of life. This state is not constant. Many who experience it report that it comes and goes like a wave. But each time it is experienced, it leaves an indelible mark on the soul, forever changing the way the person sees themselves and the world. The mysterious sign that precedes great spiritual changes is, in essence, a call to transformation. It appears to remind us that life is much more than what we can see and touch, and that our true nature transcends the limitations of the physical world. This sign is an invitation to a journey of self-discovery, where we are led to confront our shadows, expand our consciousness, and ultimately return to unity with the whole. If you have noticed this sign in your life, know that it is not an isolated event. It is part of a larger process, a process that is shaping your soul for a new level of understanding and existence. Embracing this sign and the journey it initiates can be challenging, but the rewards are immeasurable. By embracing change and allowing the universe to guide your path, you open yourself to a new world of possibilities where true freedom and spiritual fulfillment can be found. So, if you've already noticed this sign, or feel you are on the brink of a great transformation, do not fear. What is coming is a new way of living and perceiving the world, one that will bring you deep peace and understanding. After all, the universe always works in our favor, gently guiding us toward our greater truth.